Hey guys, this is Jay Calderon with Jay Unboxing here, giving you a personal prediction for Joet Gonzalez versus Isaac Dogboe. And of course, as always, this is just my take. Of course, yours can be left down in the comments section below. Love to hear them all. This is a pretty good fight as well, a bit under the radar with some names that are kind of hoping to get on the rise again here. So, be interesting to know what you guys think down in the comments section below. A little bit of fight info here. We have Joet Gonzalez versus Isaac Dogboe taking place at the Grand Casino in Hinckley, Minnesota, because Gonzalez is from California and Dogboe is Ghanaian, so naturally you throw it in Minnesota, right? Also will be airing on ESPN, where I'm sure most of us will be watching it, of course, taking place in the featherweight division. And in my opinion, it's a solid fight. I mean, while there's no title on the line or direct title implications, it's certainly a fight where the winner moves closer and the loser may have a serious rebuild in front of them. In Gonzalez, we have a boxer that seems to love a fight from time to time, and in Dogboe, we have a power puncher that can box from time to time. So a fun, interesting kind of styles clash there, if you will, and a good fight with some interesting sort of semi-implications of title shots at 126 pounds. Does Gonzalez finally win the big fight, or will Dogboe, a former titleist, return to form? Let's break this one down and try to figure it out. Now, for Gonzalez to win, I think you want to catch and shoot, specifically the right hand. And I think the reason you want to do that is because, as Gonzalez has shown, he has a tendency to kind of load up on his shots, or more specifically, wait for those perfect moments to throw those shots. Instead, you want to let it happen a little more naturally, but you also want to make sure you're giving Dogboe something to think about in those exchanges when he does look to engage. And you have to be able to do that in quicker movements. You can't just wait for those perfect opportunities. So catch, shoot that right hand, especially Gonzalez has a decent one, and that'll set up a lot of work down the stretch as he kind of begins to tame Dogboe a little bit more in this encounter. I would also say attack the body, and that's going to be something that Gonzalez does really well, especially with those hooks and that left hook especially. He throws a pretty solid one, and this will do a couple things for him. It'll open up those shots upstairs, including the right hand we kind of alluded to earlier, but also it'll take some of the power out of Dogboe, which he has a decent amount of. They're relatively close in terms of record, but if I was just looking at them in terms of who threw the harder shot, Dogboe would seem to be that guy in this fight. So Gonzalez doesn't have to avoid it necessarily all the time, but he is going to want to make sure that he's zapping as much of it as he can, because why wouldn't you? It's the smart thing to do, and certainly something I think he should look to do in this fight. And while I mentioned he shouldn't avoid the power at all costs, because he does need to engage, he does need to have those exchanges from time to time, it would benefit him to move to his right. And this is going to do a couple of things. It gets him out of the line of Dogboe's best shot, in my opinion, which is that right hand, but it also sets up his own movement. He can step back in, land that right cross, he can kind of angle and turn him, get him out of position, and Dogboe has relatively quick feet at times, but certainly can be crossed up every so often if you give him some movement, which I think Gonzalez is going to want to look to do. Move to your right, continue to circle or pivot from time to time, and I think that will lead to you having some success in this fight. Now, for Dogboe to win, I think you want to land the right hand. That's pretty obvious. I mean, I kind of alluded to in those kind of Gonzalez keys there. That's the punch I think that's going to give him the best success in this fight. Now, he could set this up a couple of ways, of course. He can jab and double jab, which we'll be getting into in a little bit. But in other cases, he can also simply lead with it. That can have some success. Just be sure to duck under any coming attacks from Gonzalez. And if he's able to time this effectively over the course of the fight, he'll certainly have some success, which is why I think he should definitely seek to kind of implement that plan. And sort of as I alluded to there, throw the double jab. The jab is going to be important, of course, and I think both will probably look to land a jab considerably. The double jab, especially of Dogboe, who has a good one when he can kind of crouch down and deliver it from that slightly awkward angle as a smaller fighter in many cases to begin with, he throws a very solid, successful double jab. If he can get that going early, then lead into that right hand, I think that will definitely spell success for Dogboe in this contest. And I would also say work punches in bunches. Dogboe can have some really good combination work when he lets it go. Again, he tries to look for that perfect single right hand too much sometimes, but if he can corner you or press you up against those ropes, or just seem to bother you and make you kind of earmuff that defense, he definitely has some success with combinations. And against Gonzalez, I think that'll be important because at times Gonzalez can keep his hands at home too often. If he can let that happen, where he punches and bunches and forces Gonzalez to kind of play defense, everything else opens up for him, including that jab, including that right hand, and kind of ties this whole game plan together. In terms of my pick here, this is kind of a tricky one, but my gut is telling me Isaac Dogboe pulls out the win. The issue I have with going with Gonzalez in this one is that he has a tendency to not always let his hands go, and I'm looking for that kind of perfect moment or just his right moment to start throwing his work, and it just doesn't always work out that way. And while Dogboe can be patient at times as well, he is at least a bit more explosive and seems more willing to push the actions at times, sometimes even forcing it. Could it be to his detriment? Perhaps, but I don't know if it will be in this particular encounter. In fairness, I think this fight will be tactical at times, especially at first, and hard to score. While I would favor the inside work of Dogboe, Gonzalez could do well boxing from the outside if he can find that right range. Still, I think the strong right hand and combination shots on the inside will be enough for Dogboe to win enough rounds that he earns the decision. Isaac Dogboe via unanimous decision, but like I said, this one could be relatively close. Now, in terms of the betting odds, it's a bit early. I wasn't able to find anything for this fight just yet. It's going to be hard to say. My gut would say maybe Gonzalez is a slight favorite. Perhaps he's a little more active recently, a little bit more on a run. That being said, decent recent form aside, it's kind of hard to know for sure. Either way, we'll leave the betting odds that I come to find in the future as a pinned comment in the comments section below, so you can check all of those out when they arrive. And my prediction record as July 14th is 22-8-0 with 6 exact. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this one, your predictions, your bets, so on and so forth. It's a good fight. I think it'll be pretty interesting. So I'd love to hear your thoughts down there. Who do you have winning this one, Gonzalez or Dogboe? Let me know. Please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at jcalderon_JOB. You can email me at jgonboxing@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you there. Also, be sure to check out jgonboxing.com for schedule, results, betting odds, rankings, and more, all that good stuff. Just recently updated the schedule and betting odds, so you can check that out there as well. And of course, as always, until next time.